I definitely want to get this book, though. This is really nice.
And there's all about me in the front. Yes.
Oh, there is?
Yes.
Oh, where?
Well, I'll read it out to you. The Tyrells of England. That's Phillimore, you see.
Right. When was this book published?
1982.
Oh, good. Then it'll be easy to get a copy of it.
Preface. My involvement with the Tyrells began in 1966 when I was virtually press-ganged. You know what that means?
Yes.
Into the operation by the quiet determination of Sister Annunciata
I knew it.
at the Convent of Jesus and Mary, Thornton, a statement which, to the uninitiated, must require some elaboration and elucidation, or else the matter will remain as obscure as before. Briefly, as the local doctor attending the girls' boarding school at Thornton, I had discovered in Sister Annunciata, the nursing nun at the school, a shared interest in matters historical. And now it's Desi. We could also put in Desi. She was therefore aware of my researches into local history for articles in the annual magazine of our local archaeological and historical society, as well as the compilation of a history of the parish of Parsonham, where I was then living. When, therefore, Sister Annunciata begged me to be the depository of the papers of the deceased Reverend William Tyrrell, a name which meant little or nothing to me at the time, in order to avoid the imminent likelihood of his many years' work being cast out and lost, I was unable to refuse. The Reverend's work was stated to be nearly ready for publication, requiring only to be tidied up a bit. As I was already committed to other projects, and genealogy was not in any case my particular interest, I resisted the blandishments of Sister and her exhortation to complete the task, or so I thought, only to be thoroughly disconcerted when, within a few weeks, I began to receive letters from the United States expressing gratitude for my taking on the task of finishing the Tyrrell history. It was too bad. Never mind. To this day, I cannot convince myself what was the motivation that started me on the long years of Tyrrell hunting. Was it satisfaction at being chosen by unknown voices from afar, which I could not disappoint? Was it the challenge of a new line of historical research to stimulate my interest in wider fields? Or was it simply a mental lethargy which hindered any active response, an explanation of why I could not or would not shoulder this burden, but retire instead behind the plea of what will be, will be. In the event, it was probably a combination of all these considerations that finally led me to accept that I would sort and arrange the Reverend Tyrrell's notes for publication. Oh, you never saw such a conglomeration of... You see, the poor man had had a stroke, and so the mind didn't function as it should, and all the notes were higgledy-piggledy.
Oh.
I never realized that, nor did the doctor. Neither of us. We couldn't use one of them. So the doctor had 15 years of research to get this done.
And you couldn't use any of it?
No.
Oh, wow.
Because you see, they sent me a big sack that high, full of little notebooks. And in some of them, and in, say, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 of them, he had written the same rubbish. You know, he kept rewriting little oddments where he found here, he'd write. Then he'd find it again. Some other time he'd write it. He asked for the sack to be sent to me before he died, you see. And so they sent it to me. What they didn't send me was a very important book that he had acquired. If they had sent that to me, it would have been much easier. But they must have known the value of that book and kept it. I was so vexed. As a nun, I couldn't make any. You see, I couldn't, because you see, they had the disposal of his things. And of course, his sister was too upset to, because I wrote to her, to Ethel, I said, "Dear Ethel, do see that," and I mentioned the book, and I said, "Have it sent to me with the notes, because that's what William would like if we're going to finish his history."
Well, you would have returned the book, wouldn't you? I mean, you weren't going to keep it.
Well, you see, it was no good to anyone else.
But I mean, if she wanted it, you would have
No,
sent
she
it back
didn't
to her.
want it. You
Oh.
see, when once he got in touch with me, we had a long correspondence. But of course, poor Ethel hadn't the vaguest of what was going on. You know what I mean?
Yes, I
She
do.
did, you know. Because all her time was taken up looking after him, because he was a celibate clergyman.
Ah.
You see, and she had to look after him in the church. Oh yes. Finally led me to accept that I was, yes. That was when I began to become aware of the problem I had unwittingly brought upon myself. The Reverend William had indeed filled many notebooks, exercise books, and piles of loose leaves, yes, it's quite true, with notes and jottings of Tyriana, much of which was of great value as a basis for a study of the family in England. However much of it was, at least open to doubt. The problem was compounded by his apparent habit of producing some of the material out of the top of his head, so to speak. For instance, he would give a list of the children of a certain man and his wife, with notes of whatever was known about them. Then he would add marginal notes and suggestions at a later date, etc.
Oh.
So you see, everything was higgledy-piggledy, you see. Getting, perhaps, that there was another son X, you see, or perhaps they were the sons and daughters of somebody else. You see,
Gosh.
this is all right so far, assuming that the original list was authenticated, which in many cases it was not. But some papers further on, in a revised list of the children of so-and-so, would find the earlier suggestion now included a fact without any supporting evidence. You see, when you put something down in a book, you have to have some proper evidence. All that he wrote and has written about the Tyrells is all what they call evidenced or authenticated. It's all at the back of the book here. Yeah. And then there's the parochial and family history of the deanery of Trigman. You see, all these, that's where he found all this about the Tyrells.
So he really researched the Tyrells.
Well, this book is what they call the classic. So that if the Tyrells want, they know that this is the authentic history of their family.
This has got everything because it's all been authenticated.
Yes, but not everything, because some he couldn't put down where it was, couldn't put where it was got from. So he didn't include it in because he couldn't say where he found it. The original list was authenticated, which in many cases it was not. Much of the material is therefore suspect for this reason, together with similar instances of over-enthusiasm for producing the desired answer. So you see, who knows whether the best of men be known or whether they be not? More remarkable persons forgot than any that stand remembered in the known account of time. See, that's what he puts. So some have not been included because you have no proper evidence. And maybe they were the ones that were really right. Some have been included that have evidence, but may not be, you see. It's quite a book. So you see, if you read this thing, during the past 10 years and more, I have journeyed to churches across the breadth of England, from Essex to Herefordshire. This is a pleasurable pastime on a fine summer day, though finding the church locked after a journey of 100 miles and being unable to locate the key is a frustrating experience.
Yes, it is.
15 years he researched this book. And this is what they say.
Where does this gentleman live?
He lives in Calverton, not far from here.
Ah, that is a really beautiful book.
If I give you his address, you could go and see if he has any to sell.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yes.
Because I'd love to buy one of these.